Number 21 is a video about rational numbers. We're going to be looking at rational numbers and writing them differently as fractions, decimals, and percents. Here is our first set of directions and problems. Write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. Problem number 1 is 1/8. To solve a fraction and turn it into a decimal, you have to do what the actual problem says, and this is 1 divided by 8. So you have 1 divided by 8. The biggest thing you all need to remember is that the numerator goes inside and the denominator is on the outside. Because we know we're going to make decimals, we're going to go ahead and add a couple of decimals to our problem. Then we can start the division. 8 goes into 1 0 times. Add my decimal. 8 goes into 10 1 time. 1 times 8. And then we subtract. Bring down the 0 and we'll divide again. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Bring down the 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And we are finished. So our answer is 0.125 thousandths. And this is going to be a terminating decimal because it has an ending. The 5 is the ending, so this is terminating. Question 2, -1 2/3. I know it's going to be -1 point something because of my mixed number. And I just need to do the 2/3 to figure out this last part. So 2 divided by 3. Again, the numerator going on the inside. I know 3 doesn't go into 2 evenly, so we're going to add a decimal point and some zeros. And start our division. 3 goes into 2, 0 times. 3 goes into 20, 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Bring down our 0. 3 goes into 20, and I see that I have the number 20 again, so I know this is going to be repeating because we're going to keep getting that. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. So I know it's going to keep going over and over again. So I'm going to stop it there. And this is going to be a repeating decimal. So let's add that to the notes. It is a repeating decimal because those 6's are going to keep going on. So I'm going to come up here to my answer and put a 6 with a repeating bar over it. So the answer is -1.6 repeating. The next set of directions is write each fraction as a percent. And here is example 1. Here's example 3. -2/5. So I know my answer is going to be a negative. And I have to do 2 divided by 5. And I can add, make it a little lower. I can add some decimal points, or a decimal point and some zeros. So 5 goes into 2 0 times. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Bring down the 0, and it's going to be 0. So -0.4 is our decimal. but we have to change that to a percent. So to change a decimal to a percent, you're going to move the decimal over to the right 2 times because we're multiplying it by 100. And so that will equal 40%. Example 4 is 3 and 8/25. So I know it's going to be 3 point something because of our whole number. And we'll divide the fraction 8 divided by 25. I'm going to add my decimal and some zeros. 25 goes into 8 0 times. 25 goes into 80 3 times. 3 times 25 is 75. Bring down the 0. 25 goes into 50 2 times. 2 times 25 is 50. And we are finished. So we can add that to our 3 and the decimal point. So 3.32. And we have to change it to a decimal. So we're going to move it over 2 places. So 332% is your answer. The last set of problems will be writing each decimal as a fraction. And here is example 5, 0.75 or 75 hundredths, because we look at the decimal places place value. So this is the tens, this is the hundredths. So that means we can take 75 and put it over 100, because you would read this decimal as 75 hundredths, and that's the way it looks as a fraction as well. Now all we have to do is simplify. Simplify a fraction. You have to find a number that goes into the top and to the bottom. And I am going to choose, what should we choose? What do you want to simplify by?
25.
25? Okay, so divide the top and the bottom by 25. 75 divided by 25 is?
3/4.
3. 100 divided by 25 is? 4. And so that would be our answer, 3/4. Our last example is 2.5 repeating. We're going to change it to a fraction. So we have 2 is our whole number, and we're going to have 2 and then a fraction next to it in our final answer. And if I have 2 and 5/10 repeating, I'm going to start by doing 5/10 to take care of the 5 in the 10th place. But that repeating bar means I have to actually subtract 1 from whatever the denominator is to make it a repeating decimal. So that means it is going to be 5/9. And it's actually not going to be 5/9 by itself. We have to put that up there with the whole number 2. So our final answer will be 2 and 5/9. That's the end of our video. Make sure you hit that bell to get notifications. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And
See you later. Bye.